Iron City built. It's time for the Steel City Nation podcast. Here's your host, Mark Maradei.
I'd like to welcome my guest, Curt Wootton, or many of you may know him as Pittsburgh Dad today. How are you, Curt?
Doing good, Mark. Thank you for having me on.
I'm excited to talk with you and get your insights on what's going on around the Steel City. I know it's been a rather difficult season for the Pirates so far. What do you think's wrong with them?
They don't spend any money, plain and simple. They can't compete with the big boys. It's really catching up to them. And I don't know if there's any end in sight to what they're going through, to tell you the truth.
Do you miss going down to the stadium this year? Do you catch a lot of games?
Yeah, we do. My wife and I really, even though, they rarely compete anymore,
yeah.
it's really nice just to, I'm one of those people just to go down and having a day at the park and everything. And by like the third inning when they're losing by 9, we're usually over by just hanging out at the bar or just taking in the views. It's an awesome place to get away. It'd be great if they had a team there that could compete to really draw you down.
Yeah, exactly. Is anyone playing good baseball for them? Do you think anybody's doing well for them?
What's his face before he broke his jaw? He was playing pretty good. Philip Evans was playing good, but he's on the DL, and Gonzalez is okay. And you got Polanco. Was he 3 for 50? So he's really looking good this year.
Yeah.
No, was he?
He's got
.70. Yeah, that's I think it's time to pull the plug on that guy. I mean, was it 7-8 seasons? And we were all very hyped about it. I remember him coming through Indianapolis, and we were just so excited for him to finally reach the majors, and he doesn't seem to ever pan out. So I don't know.
It felt like we were going to have an outfield there with Marte and Polanco and whoever they could plug in.
McCutcheon. I mean, I was so excited about that outfield, and of course, traded Marte and Kutch walked away, and now we have nothing.
Yeah, well, 5 of those guys are playing for Philly. So.
Oh yeah, well.
And that's a whole nother ball of wax, right?
Philly.
What's the difference between Derek Shelton to you and Clint Hurdle, though? I mean, I know they seem to be 2 different guys, but the product is pretty much the same.
I don't know. It's just Hurdle probably got a little complacent with everything. Kind of lost the locker room there with it wasn't Crick and Vasquez fighting, and but Shelton at least is some fresh energy. I don't know if it's gonna really pan out because it's just the players that are on the field. I mean, I don't care. You're the best manager in the world, and I don't think that you're gonna work wonders with them. It's just the way it is. The MLB is greatly flawed anymore, and there's only really 8 teams that really compete anymore every year, and I don't know. But he is riskier than Hurdle, so it's at least fun to watch in that respect, and lets pitchers go a little bit longer, which is cool. And I don't know. But I mean, no matter what you do, the poor guy's he's set up for failure. It's just the way it is.
Spend nutting, get nutting in return.
Oh,
right?
It's just it's heartbreaking because it was so fun a couple years back, and now it's eh.
You think Jim Leyland could win with this group?
Yeah. Well, he could at least get them all hooked on Marlboro Reds and scream at them, and we could all laugh at that. Every now and then that clip of him yelling at Bonds appears in my timeline, and I watch it every chance I get. And even Jimmy, he couldn't even do anything with this club. It's just no way. It's not going to happen.
I actually threw that clip in when I was talking about preseason baseball. I was talking about Bonds and how he basically should be a Hall of Famer, but he kind of punched his own ticket. And on top of that, I mean, he's just not a very nice guy. At least he wasn't when he was playing.
No, he's never had that reputation. I remember one instance because my dad's company had season tickets, and we would go to Three Rivers all the time. And I remember I asked him for his batting gloves, and because he the game before he'd given them to the kid, and he wouldn't give them to me, and I don't know, kind of tarnished me at age 10. So,
what do you think your dad would have said about him?
Who, Bond?
Yeah.
My dad did. My dad got off the Bonds train after those 92 playoffs when Bonds really didn't show up, and then didn't throw out Sid Bream at the plate. So my dad was off that, and then when Bonds walked, I think after 92, Like I don't think my dad ever uttered Bonds again. So
Yeah,
I don't
that's a
know.
good thing. That's a good thing. So you have a favorite Pirate today that you like? Is there anybody on that team that you like?
I like, you know what? I like Jamison Tyan. I like to see him play.
Yeah.
I feel bad for the guy because you've seen some of the stuff, man. The guy, he looks like, and if he was ever like given an opportunity and stayed healthy, he could really be a dominant pitcher. Man, could you imagine healthy him and Cole and Glass now and at the top of your rotation? And it could have been.
You never know what was going to happen, though. I actually like Archer. I thought they kind of tried to change his style when he came to Pittsburgh.
It's probably, yeah, because I mean the pitching staff really couldn't do anything with Tyler Glass now either, and then he goes over down to Florida and he becomes a phenom. He's not doing that well this year, but I don't think the Uncle Ray really knew how to work the magic with that one.
I think he kind of caught lightning in a bottle with a bunch of those guys, like when he brought in J. Happ and Volquez. Those guys just wanted to reinvent themselves and go on and get bigger money, and they all did. Let's face it,
We were all upset to lose J. Happ, man. I was like, if we could have just held on to him. And yeah, Archer just you'd like to think that I think he definitely pitched his last pitch here, but man, we were all excited when he came, and once again, just didn't pan out.
It's like a curse in Pittsburgh with baseball now.
It is, and we had a chance too. I really think that in 2013 they really could have went the distance and just got they ran into the Cardinals and just got steamrolled, and that's the way it goes down.
In Arrieta just mowed him down.
Oh my gosh! And I was at that game, and I was at the Giants game the year before.
Yeah.
And just you weren't in that game from the moment it started, either of those games. I'm just like, I knew it didn't feel well, and Arrieta's a jerk, and it really sucked to have him just destroy us like that. But
I had some friends at the house, and they were actually from Pittsburgh. I live in Maryland, and we were sitting there having a beer, watching the game, and they announced the Pirates starting lineup. And as soon as I saw Shawn Rodriguez at first base, I was like, dude, do we need to watch this game? Honestly, I like Shawn Rodriguez, but oh my god,
yeah, man. I remember I did some kind of bit about Shawn Rodriguez being in the lineup every night, and it became a joke. I'm like, what? Like, come on, man. At least he beat the hell out of that Gatorade cooler. That was fun.
Oh, he was intense.
Yeah. So
who do you think did it better, him or AB?
I'll give it to Rodriguez. AB is kind of like Rodriguez did it because he was mad at Arrieta's. AB did it because he's mad at the team, his own team. So I got to give it to Serpico on that one.
Yeah. Hey, so Nutting, terrible owner. How do you think they'd fare if Cuban became the owner?
It's hard to say. I think he would at least spend the money because, believe it or not, I do think there's people who are. I mean, Cuban has a lot of money, but who are interested in, making money and also seeing a winner.
Yeah,
that's not what Nutting wants to do. It's his business. I mean, you can't tell him to sell it. He's just raking in the funds. But you have to imagine with Cuban, he might be able to lure some bigger names here and be able to sign some of the he'd probably been able to sign Cole and everyone, and you'd have to think that they'd be at least in wild card contention every year. But it's never going to happen. So it's just a pipe dream.
One of the funnier things to me is the fact that here's Nutting. He sits there and he watches the Steelers make tons of cash and fill the stadium. He watches Mario do it with the Pens every year.
Oh, yeah.
But this guy goes the total opposite direction, and he's unsuccessful, and he's happy with just putting, whatever he puts in his pocket, his $20 million a year, whatever.
Whatever. I don't know exactly what he's bringing in every year profit-wise, but it's enough to say, I don't care what anyone says about me. I'm just this is my business. I don't care if they're losers. It's bringing in the money. So
I talked with Frank Nicotero recently, and he was telling me that a friend of his is a friend of Nutting's, and they asked Nutting about selling the team, and he said, no, absolutely not. It's going to my kids when I die.
And that's probably the way it'll go. MLB is just – I can't imagine 20 years if it's still in the same format and there's no salary cap. If anyone's going to be – the smaller market teams are going to be watching. You'd have to think that it's eventually going to – I don't know all the younger kids I know don't really because I was growing up. Baseball was God. It was just like we we would like tune in. They couldn't wait to the All-Star game in the summer, and it was like a big event. Now it's just like kids are like, whatever.
Yeah, no, my son plays baseball and he plays ice hockey. And, with everything, most of the stuff was canceled this summer.
Yeah.
Going into the fall, he's registered to play both because we're going to have a longer fall baseball season. Hockey is going to go in a bubble. Long story short, I said to my son, I said, would you rather play baseball or hockey if you had them both on the same day? And he looked at me, and he's 10. He said, Dad, is that even a question to ask me? Of course I want to play hockey. He loves playing the game, but to him, it's just secondary to play baseball at this point. And unfortunately, I brainwashed him. He's a Pirate, Penguin, Steeler fan. Actually, I've done it with all my kids, and my wife, I have turned her into one of those. What do you think would happen if the Pirates played the Washington Wild Things?
Well, aren't the Wild Things? They're canceled for this year.
Yeah, they shut down.
They're sitting on the couch, and I still think the Wild Things could beat them while on the couch.
I agree.
I
agree.
Maybe they'll still scrap a little bit harder. I think. I don't know.
Do you see that guy from the Milwaukee Milkmen? The Pirates tried to sign him. He plays in the Independent League. He's a pitcher. He's a reliever. The Pirates tried to sign this guy, and he turned them down.
Well, I don't blame him. I'm sure you can. Is Jung Ho Gung doing anything right now? I don't even. We could probably get him back.
He might be having a cold one. So with the attendance, how do you think COVID would impact these fans if they were able to go back in the stadium? You think anybody would show up?
If it was all of a sudden restrictions were lifted?
Yeah.
I'd go back just because I want to get out. I want to do things. I want to live life again. I'd be there in a second. I'd be out, having an ice cold, icy light and bag of peanuts and just taking it in, just to geez, do something,
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to think that a lot of Pittsburghers would follow suit. So, but so it might take a little longer to, even whenever everything's lifted, to get people venturing back out again. Hopefully it doesn't take that long though.
I think that's the whole reason a lot of Pittsburgh people go to those games. It's not because they expect them to win. It's just to get out of the house and go to the stadium. It's
a nice evening. It only takes me 15, 20 minutes to get down there. So, I got my own little back way. I got my own little park. I'm right in. So it's not even like a big deal. No traffic. So I'd go in a heartbeat.
You got to cut through downtown?
I take the West End Bridge. I got on 51. Right, okay. West End Bridge. Just get off, like right past the casino there. That little spot I always park in. It's perfect.
You don't have to deal with a lot of jag-offs the way you go, huh?
No.
So what do you think about the Steelers coming up? I know they're in camp. Ben's tossing the ball around. I know there's got to be a buzz in the city up there because the Pens let us down. Definitely.
I really, you got to feel good about where the Steelers are. I was gravely concerned about the status of Ben's elbow, because it was kind of secretive. I didn't know if he had Tommy John or what was going on. But from everyone that I've been reading, they say there's a lot of zip on the passes. He looks good. He looks thin. He looks hungry. But they kind of say that every year, so I don't know what to take that. But you gotta like the receivers. You gotta like the running backs. The defense is coming back stronger, getting to it back on that defensive line. Lost Hargrave, so it's going to be a little hard to stuff to run, but I don't know who's going to fill in. Tyson Alulu might be filling that gap.
That's exactly what they said. That's exactly what they said.
I think, again, the Ravens were just so good last year. So, of course, they're going to be good. But besides them in the AFC, I think – and the Chiefs, I think, take a step back because they're going to have that Super Bowl hangover.
Yeah.
But, man, I like the Steelers win 12 games if they could stay healthy.
I was reading Aditi Kinkhabwala. She covers the AFC North.
Yeah.
He was saying that this is the fastest Steeler defense that has ever played under Mike Tomlin.
Oh gosh, I believe it.
Before
you got 3 certified or more than so. Like you got Cam Hayward, Pro Bowler, T.J. Watt, just rising superstar. Devin Bush, who just his closing speed is off the charts. And then you got center fielder Minkah Fitzpatrick, which I think really solidifies the back end of that secondary, which hasn't been anywhere near as good since Paul Malu left.
I know.
I really feel good about and hopefully because Ben runs the offense, and he's I don't care what's his face Fiechner, man, it's Ben's offense. Ben's changing the plays at the line of scrimmage. We'll see what Matt Canada can bring to the equation as quarterback's coach. but I hope this offense just really comes out of the gate fast and hard. Because sometimes, like they'll play their first game and it takes them 4 or 5 games to get it all revved up. But you have to like all the weapons they have, especially at the receiving core.
Are you a Pitt or Penn State guy?
Oh, I'm a WVU guy.
Oh, are you? Did you go to WVU?
I went to West Virginia University, yeah.
Wow.
So I couldn't stand Pitt growing up or through college.
Okay.
And so in 2007 when they beat us to keep us out of the national championship still haunts me.
My high school I teach at, I mentor some kids and work with kids that are on the football team. I used to coach myself, and one of our kids just committed to WVU, a kid by the name of Caden Prather. He's a big-time receiver. You will thoroughly enjoy watching him play. Yeah,
I went to 2 games last year. It's kind of more of just in passing. I used to be really hardcore into to WVU, but now it's mostly when Steelers season starts, man, that's my
that's your thing. Plus, you said you got a new baby at home.
Yeah, she's a year old and she's a handful.
Baby,
teaching her up black and gold, and she's gonna be a huge Pittsburgh fan.
You got her speaking Pittsburghese yet?
She contracts a lot of her words and they slur all together, so a little bit.
You feed her any Isley's chip chop ham?
She has had her chipped ham. She likes it.
That's good. Hey, every kid should. So a lot of free agents coming up for the Steelers. Who do you keep, Juju or Connor or both, or do you let them walk?
Love James Conner. Great guy. Even though he went to Pitt, I won't hold that against him. But good story. He's a hard worker. Yeah. Can't seem to stay on the field.
Yeah.
And on one thing about the running back position, if you look at Gurley and Le'Veon Bell, I'm not paying any more running backs big time money ever again. So there's a chance he has a good season, he stays healthy, they'll bring him back, and that's cool. I think this is his last season, no matter what. Even if he comes out, catches 35 passes, goodbye. He catches 100 passes, he's going to have a huge contract, and someone else is going to give it to him. Another great receiver. Steelers seem to be cultivating receivers a lot better than any other position on the team. So, you got to feel good about them drafting someone to replace him. But I'd say Connor has a better chance to stay if he stays healthy and produces.
How about Bud Dupree? Would you give him all that money again?
I think that's it. I don't think you got TJ. Hopefully, Alex Highsmith can step in and fill a role. But man, we just, the Steelers, man, they like to keep their guys. They like to commit long term to them with these contracts, and then we're all on the hook for the salary cap.
It's frozen for next year.
So it's not going to go up.
No.
So we can't afford all these guys.
No.
So get as much as you can out of Dupree this year, and you're gonna have to let him walk. This is probably Joe Hayden's last year, so we gotta really buckle down and get a championship.
You need to re-sign Cam Hayward, if anything.
Yeah, I think. Everyone says they will. If I wouldn't be surprised if they don't. Something. And the thing about that is something is weird about having Derek Watt and TJ Watt, and they let Cam walk, and then they try to go get JJ out of his last year from the Texans contract.
That'd be crazy.
All three Watt brothers on the same team. Love Cam, but I would love to see all 3 Watt brothers on the same team.
If that happens, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it.
Oh man, my episodes would write themselves.
You're going to have a great time with that one.
But I still like to see Cam be re-signed. But
his leadership, if nothing else, in the community and his leadership in the locker room, he leads everything.
Right, and it's not that in recent years we don't have a lot of strong leaders on the team like we did in the past. You don't have the James Farriers and the Jerome Bettises and the Hines Wards. So anyone who comes along who fits that bill, you kind of want to keep around. As long as they're producing and we don't have inflated, bloated contracts that we have to keep pushing to the next salary cap, and we can't ever get relief and can't sign any free agents that we should be signing, and it's frustrating.
I'm going to be curious to see what they do with Bank, because he's making $34 million this year, and I think next year.
I think it's in the 40s.
Is it?
This season's not, but I think the next season's in the salary cap hits 40 or something. I don't remember. But
I'm going to redo his contract so they can drop that number. Talk about paying him into the future. He might get a Bobby Bonilla deal.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what if he stays healthy and he's good this year, then absolutely give him another year. If he goes down, if Ben, God forbid, he goes down in week 1 or 2 for the season, I think that's it for him. Like that'll be like, you can't justify bringing him back the next season and after 2 years. It's weird. But yeah, I'd like to see him go the entire season, Pro Bowl caliber season, 5,000 yards, and then then there'll be no question you bring him back next season.
They better have a run game though if something happens to Ben, because I don't mind Mason Rudolph, but I think that hit he took last year from Earl Thomas, in my opinion, it's like it's going to always like kind of haunt him.
And that's what I thought for sure. I'm like, well, maybe they'll address the backup quarterback situation, because once Ben goes down, he's the leader, calling that offense. I want someone with a little bit more pedigree. I wanted them to go sign Andy Dalton.
Oh, wow.
I was like, man, he'd be really good. Because Bengals are a disgrace, and I don't respect that organization. So him on like a good team with better ownership, better coaches, I thought could really thrive in our offense. I'd always like to see what he can do. But once that hit with Mason took versus the Ravens last year, I don't know, but we'll see.
I usually don't. I struggle with Andrew Filipponi and a lot of his takes on stuff. But
he's got the hot takes.
Yeah, he really had a strong case for Jameis Winston. And I started researching it, and Winston essentially is the same age as Mason Rudolph, but he's got 5 years starting experience. And I kind of chalked up his bad year last year to the fact that he had Bruce Arians as a coach. And we all know Bruce, he just likes to chuck the ball. So I thought, well, maybe if they bring him in and get him some quarterback coaching under Canada, and then tutor him up,
It would have been a good insurance policy, because eventually they're going to have to start developing another quarterback. Ben cannot play. Ben's not going to be Tom Brady and play till he's 43. It's just not going to happen. He's taken way too many hits, has way too many injuries. So you gotta. I don't know what you're going to do. Address it next year's draft. Get a free agent. I mean, there's going to be other free agent quarterbacks, but it's time to start looking to who's going to be under center 2-3 years down the road.
I have a sneaky suspicion they have higher hopes for Paxton Lynch than they actually let on. Because he was a number 1 pick, but he played behind Manning out in Denver. Manning was getting the reps. They wanted to win a Super Bowl. Lynch probably wasn't getting what he needed, and Manning probably wasn't giving him what he needed as his backup. I just my
yeah. I mean, all the roster predictions I've been reading say that Duck Hodges beats out Lynch. And I'm like, well, I would, without a preseason, they might be right, since you're not gonna have any live action for Paxton, and I would like to have 1 preseason game so I can see these guys. But I'd have to think, man, if Duck kind of just fell off the map last year so far, I'd like to see. So Paxton at least has that higher pedigree.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing at camp, so it's just you'd like to see someone else if Mason goes down. I don't know. Duck's a nice guy, though. He had some good wins. So
he got some good ones. He's a fiery guy. He just he can't make the NFL throws, in my opinion.
Yeah, he throws like lollipops.
Yeah,
they're not real. There's not a whole lot of like Brett Favre zip on those passes.
He conjures up memories of Bubby Brister for me. That's all. But
oh gosh, now you're going back to the late '80s for me here.
So how excited are you about Minkah Fitzpatrick? I mean, he's going to get a year. He's going to get a whole camp under his belt. He's going to understand what he's doing.
I mean, with everything that's happened with COVID and the trade was such a great trade for Kevin Colbert, because all the first rounders that we would have got aren't going to have any experience. So we already got our first rounder who's coming in with experience, ready to go, young. It's going to get better and better. It's really exciting to anticipate what he's going to be able to do back into that secondary. And 2 good corners. I hope you hope that Terrell Edmonds can really step up this year and fill that strong safety position out and just dominate against those pass games.
He does a great job of marketing himself on Instagram, if nothing else, Edmonds.
Does he? I don't follow him on Instagram.
Yeah, he's a piece of work. So do you remember Ironhead?
Greg Hayward, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so who do you think's a better football player, him or his dad, or Cam?
Okay, well, since Cam plays for the Steelers, I probably have to go Cam. But if we're talking just pure, just brute force, you got to go Ironhead. And I used to play, I don't know if you know the old game, Tecmo Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
the Saints had Ironhead Hayward on the team.
Yeah.
And always short yard situations. I don't care. I bring in just bring in Hayward. He will get you those hard 2-3 yards every time, like dropping guys off his back. So, but Cam does play for the Steelers, so I gotta give it to Cam. But total respect for his dad, who went to Pitt. So
Yeah, that must be tough. So, who was the quarterback on that Tecmo Bowl? Was it Bobby Hebert?
On the Saints.
Yeah.
Oh my God! No, I don't think it was. Who was it? I used to have all these rosters memorized. Oh man, it can't be Hebert. I thought that was 93. I don't remember. I gotta look it up. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna look it up right now.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I want to know now. So
Bobby Hebert just kind of cracked me up. He was a lower tier version in my eyes of Brett Favre.
Bobby Hebert.
Okay.
No, I was just asking.
Oh.
Let's see here. This one is. Oh, come on. Here we go. I gotta know this now. We're on the AFC. Oh.
93 New Orleans Saints quarterback.
I have no idea. It's not coming up. I don't have to get back to you. I don't want to take up all. Don't worry about it. Now I want to know. I know another. They had Von Dunbar too as another running back.
Oh, I remember him.
Von.
They had that great group of linebackers too. The Saints did back then with Sam Mills. Sam Mills was like 5'5", but he goes.
I can't remember who I would put my cursor on for the defense.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to break out the Nintendo and play this game tonight.
I got you all fired up to play it, don't I?
Oh, my parents would get so sick of me sitting there with it, like playing season after season. So because you had to go through and beat it with every team, and also it wasn't enough to beat it. You had to lead the league in categories of like passer rating, rushing, receiving, which was a really hard thing to do.
Did you have Blades of Steel? Because that's what I had.
Oh, I mean, Blades of Steel was the second best hockey game on Nintendo. The original ice hockey game for Nintendo with you picked like the fat guy, the skinny guy, the medium guy.
Oh yeah.
But Blades of Steel, we used to, man, the competitions in my neighborhood with the sports games were off the charts.
That's awesome. Did you play sports growing up?
Yeah, I played football in middle school, and I played baseball my whole life. So
where'd you go to high school at?
Hempfield.
Oh, okay. Well, I went to Kiski area.
We played Kiski, I think, in middle school.
You probably played in middle school. We used to play you in high school. When I was there, they had guys like Matt Kisner and, a few years older than you. They were a monster back then.
No, Hempfield's been so bad for years. They've never been able to recoup what they had in the early days, 70s and 60s.
I had a friend who was calling their offense for a while, a kid by the name of Clay Kunzelman.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I don't think he's doing it anymore, to be honest with you. So have you paid any attention to what's going on with the Steeler rookies? Yeah,
I mean, not having a first-round draft pick, you hear a lot about Chase Claypool.
Yeah.
You got to be excited about a huge receiver like that.
Yeah.
I mean, not since Martavis Bryant have we had anyone of that size. And so also he's got great speed.
Yeah.
I think he might be more of a one-trick pony this year and might catch a lot of defenses off guard. But that's okay. We need that because we have other more finesse route runners like Deontay Johnson and, you got Juju in the slot.
James Washington,
who can really develop this year. But I'm really excited about Claypool. That's the only one you really hear about. Alex Highsmith, I don't really know. I haven't heard much about him in camp. He hasn't been one of the camp darlings.
Right.
So, you got to be pumped about what you hear.
It's so different, though, this year with camp. Like, I try and get some inside stuff. I love what the Penguins did. Like, I watched their games when they were in season 2.0. I watched some of their games and things like that. But you can't really – I mean, you're getting stuff from Missy Matthews, but not what I want. I want to see some stuff going on out there.
There's not – there's a lot of guys with podcasts and Steeler blogs who go there and they'll for camp they'll give you a play-by-play on every single pass or run or everything. They'll everything. This year it's a little more secretive, so
right.
It's going to be different out of the gate for all NFL teams. So hopefully that's in the Steelers' favor because they're a team that's been together a little bit longer than some other teams.
One of the things I did hear yesterday, I guess Zach Banner and TJ Watt gone into it not once but twice.
Yeah, I mean, TJ, you don't really hear a lot of TJ getting in the scruff, so I don't know. Well, Zach might be stepping over boundaries.
Yeah, he's really trying to invent himself around Pittsburgh. I see. Did you see his flash dance video thing he did?
He's kind of like, it's him, Juju. They're like the social media guys. They're the brand guys. So I mean, you gotta play all angles in this league, I guess.
Yeah,
you never know when it's gonna all disappear.
Right. I guess they're trying to replace AB, which if you do it the right way, I guess it's okay, right?
Yeah, you can't. That's. I think sometimes it turns a lot of like the old time Pittsburgh fans off. That said, you get this me type of attitude, and
sure,
they don't like that because the teams that they grew up with in the 70s and 80s, there was no social media.
Right.
But I have to imagine most of those guys would have done the same thing. I don't.
It doesn't bother me. It's just kind of like what Juju was doing last year. Like he went to an IUP party,
right?
And he was out with a bad knee. Like I don't want to.
Yeah, right. It sets you, if you don't perform and go out there and rock it every week.
Right.
Now everyone goes, oh, I know why you didn't do it, because you were out doing this so and so. I saw you doing that. So instead of like, you don't have all your cards are on the table. So it's better to just keep quiet during the season. In the off season, you can light it up with
be as crazy as you want to be.
Yeah, but every time that you're under the microscope with the social media. So when you don't perform, people are looking for reasons why you didn't perform, and they go right to your social media, and that's just the way it is.
Hey, did they put Pittsburgh Dad up on the Permanis wall yet down in the strip?
No, man. No, nothing like that. I'm waiting for that call. I got I'm like draft day here, patiently waiting. I'm going to be Mr. Irrelevant here at a. No, that'd be a great honor, but it hasn't happened yet.
I know you've got a ton of people that are probably going to be rooting for you to get that.
That'd be fantastic. I love Permanis. I was just there the other day.
We've got one close to where I live up in Hagerstown, but it does not even come.
I heard it has Raven stuff on the walls.
It might.
Someone said I'm like, sacrilege. Get the Raven stuff. So, yeah, I heard about that one, and I'm like, maybe that's the reason the Steelers didn't do good last year, because there's Raven stuff in the Permanis in Hagerstown.
You know what? I think I will go investigate that for us. I think I will. I'm still sporting old school here with my Pittsburgh Maulers gear.
Oh yeah, man, the USFL.
Yeah.
Wasn't that Mike Rozier?
Yep.
Yeah. Exactly. Steve Young getting that huge contract, and hey, I have a vintage Mauler shirt myself. It's all purple though, and in Pittsburgh. Nice. I don't know if like people look at me weird when I wear it because it's purple.
Yeah.
But I break it out for special occasions. I wore it in a Pittsburgh Dad episode one time.
That'd be special to watch that one. I haven't seen that one. I picked this up down at Yinzer's when I had my family up visiting in the summer. They had this. I picked up a Heinz ketchup one. My kid was like, Dad, what are you buying? I said, I'm buying Pittsburgh right here. That's exactly what I'm buying.
Because anytime you're away from Pittsburgh, it's even more imperative to display your Pittsburgh pride, because
exactly.
It's airports, different cities. You got to let people know what the best city in the country is.
Absolutely.
And if you can't, get in their face and talk to them, at least be like, parading it around on your clothing.
Here I am. Hey, you have any superstitions? Like, I know as a Steeler fan, I've got a lot of superstitions, especially if they're winning games. You have any superstitions that you go through when you watch the Steelers?
As I've gotten older, my superstitions they've de-intensified. Is that a word? But when I was growing up, I used to only wear one jersey. I'd sit in a certain spot on the couch. But as I got older, I'm like, I want to get a whole bunch of different Steelers gear, and I like to go through. I don't like just one. I like it. Like I have to feel it now.
Yeah.
But I still always have to stand up for if the Steelers are kicking a field goal, and if they miss the field goal, it's because someone wasn't standing. You have to stand. You can't sit down.
Okay.
That's my biggest one. But yeah, I lost a lot of my superstitions. Because it was just I couldn't pinpoint what I was doing wrong as a fan with the game, so I had to just stop all the nonsense and focus in on just being into the game and concentrating. Because
my wife says to me, when I do that stuff, she'll be like, "What is wrong with you?" And I say, "It's a Berg thing." That's the only thing I can. That's the only thing I can reply to her. I say it's a Berg thing. That's what we do in Pittsburgh.
But my buddies and I, if they're losing, well, my one buddy was like, "You need to leave." I'm like, "What?" because I lived across the street from my buddy, and he's like, go home, and I'll go home, and they'll start winning. And then I'm like, oh, I can't come back now.
When I was
weird.
a kid, that's what used to happen at my house. When I was a kid, I'd be watching the game with my mom and dad, and my mom would say, I'm the jinx, and she would go in the kitchen. And my dad would sit there and watch, and, and I'd be like, no, you're not, Mom, come on back. And then next thing you know, we're fumbling, or, they're scoring a touchdown. She's like, I'm telling you, I'm the jinx. And away she went.
Or someone would stop by the house.
Oh, yeah.
And the Steelers would score. I'm like, well, you can't leave now. Grab a seat. And, it's just, it's crazy. The level of superstitions I used to go through. It's crazy. But I've mellowed out. Thankfully, otherwise I think my wife would divorce me. I used to get a little too animated during games. So
I feel it.
Then no one would want to be around me. So I had to drop that. Otherwise I'd lose a lot of family and friends.
It definitely changes as you get older. You just don't.
I'm like,
you got to take a look at it. My dad used to say to me, Mark, you're not getting paid for this. Why do you get so upset? And I'm
I mean, there's you ever when they lose a game and say it's a later game, I don't know. And then you go to sleep and then I'll wake up in the dead of my sleep and start thinking about the play that changed the tide of the game. And it'll run through my head over and over. And I won't go back to sleep.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to get online because I don't want to read any articles that are going to really upset me. So I don't know.
All right. So have you been to Kennywood this summer? Are you going to make it to the fall festival?
No, they're Kennywood's closing after Labor Day, and they're done for the whole year.
Wow.
I just read that today. They're after September 7th is their last day of the entire year until next spring. So no bright nights, no holiday lights. We didn't make it out, and so it's it's been one of those summers where honestly, my wife, we haven't done anything that we usually do. It's been kind of a bummer.
Did you have more barbecues out back?
Oh yeah, tons of cooking on the grill, tons of cold ones going down.
Still filling up a lot of recycling bins, huh?
Oh yeah, it's been at least trying to keep your sanity during the summer. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, I understand that. All right, so my last thing is I always do this segment, and I call it a decade definer, but with you, we're going to go a little bit of a different direction. I want you to give me your Mount Rushmore of Pittsburgh athletes.
Oh.
I'm gonna make you use your brain just a little bit.
So yeah, okay, I'm gonna start off with Mean Joe Green.
Oh yeah,
right up there. Just change the tide of. I mean, we're not gonna go coaches or anything like that. These are athletes, the players. So, Mean Joe, you got to put because he changed the tide of the Steelers. That was the first piece that really took them to a new direction. Then you got to go Lemieux for hockey.
Okay.
Tide of the Penguins.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna go. Oh, let's see here. I'll go Polamalu, just because the hair would look cool on the mound.
Yeah.
And he was the game changer. And of course, you got to go with number 21 Clemente for baseball. Just what he meant to the city and everyone else that he touched in his humanitarian efforts. And then since it's my Mount Rushmore, I'm going to add one more little head. And it's just for me. It's personal. I'm going to go ahead and around the side there, I'm going to put Andy Van Slyke. Was one of my favorites.
Nice.
That's growing up, I idolized him. I had over 200 of his cards. So starting lineups in my room, poster, T-shirt. So I'm going to put Andy there because that's just who I admired the most growing up.
When I asked that question of Frank Nicotero, he said Andy Van Slyke as well.
I know Frank's dad. I worked with him a long time ago. So I haven't Sam Nicotero.
Oh, okay.
So if you ever want to see Sam Nicotero, who has since passed, was and myself in a little movie on YouTube. It's called Captain Blasto, filmed in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And you'll see both of us in there. So it's a real hoot. I'm 24, so I'm real young.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, thanks for being on the show. It was awesome talking.
Yeah, Mark. Thanks for having me. But yeah, once you start talking Steelers, I'll sit here for 3-4 hours going over everything. So
that's great. What's the next episode coming up of Pittsburgh Dad? What do you got planned for us?
we have well, we just did one this week on the memory of Century 3 Mall.
We watched that one. My wife watched it first.
They finally took the last store closed, or it's closing. It's in the midst of closing, so that's a real bummer because that was the mall, the epic mall in the area that like I would even like. I couldn't go to it till I was able to drive, but we would go to it all the time. So it was a real downer when that finally announced that they were closing. So we did that episode. We got a special, I guess it's like a little mini fall episode coming up next week before the season starts. And then we got our Steelers season episodes, and we're pumped. And hopefully the Steelers give us a product and we go 16-0, breeze through the playoffs, and hoist number 7.
As a Steeler fan, who would you rather see them sweep in the season series, Cleveland or the Ravens?
Ravens. Because
Yeah.
I just see them beating Cleveland twice. I just, every now and then Cleveland maybe get one on us, but to beat the Ravens, you got to think. I think Lamar Jackson's going to have a down year compared to last year. It just can't be that good again. It can't. So I'm ready to watch. We got swept by them last year too. So we need to sweep them this year.
He's the modern. I hate to say this, but he's the modern day Cordell. He really is.
I mean, Cordell was a hell of an athlete.
He's a special athlete.
Probably played in the wrong time. So maybe Lamar will throw those interceptions like Cordell did in that Denver Broncos playoff game. So that still haunts me to this day. But yeah, I like to sweep those Ravens this year and really stick it to them. And then you know what? Beat them in the playoffs. I love when we beat them 3 times in a year. You can't ask for anything more.
That is a special time, isn't it? Well, thanks, Curt. I'll let you get back to dad duty, and maybe we can catch up sometime during the season, see how things are actually playing itself out.
Oh, absolutely, man. Take care and go Steelers.
Yeah. Take care now.